Welcome to our Working with Portraits webinar designed to support the school annual online yearbook program. Our goal this afternoon will be to focus on the functions of the program associated with student portraits. Specifically, we will be reviewing printing class sheets for our teachers or parents to review and correct, strategies for detecting duplicate images, correcting student names, categorizing students, and using the flow function to create portrait pages. This webinar will be approximately 30 minutes, so let's get started. First, we're going to talk about printing class sheets and why this is important. So here we're going to navigate to our image library. Here we are already clicked on portraits. Click this little down arrow right here. We can see all of our portraits that have been uploaded. We can click on a class. Here we have our class of students right here ready to go. Then we can, if we want to create a PDF of this class to send to a teacher, to a parent, to a helper, or whoever, in order to make sure the kids are correct, the kids are placed in this class correctly, the correct image is being used, we can simply come up to here to preview, and we can click on this preview button, which will open up another tab. And here will be a PDF. Right here, you will see images of your entire classroom in this folder. All of them are in alphabetical order. This will be a theme throughout this webinar. Everything you see here in the image library is in alphabetical order. From here, you can print this off and give it to this teacher to double check to make sure things like names are spelled correctly. If they're not, they can always write that in there, a little note or the correct spelling. They can also indicate whether or not the child is actually in their class or whose class they're actually in. Once we do that, we're going to come up here and we're going to talk about coverage reports. So we're going to come up here to create and then down here to coverage report. Now, this is the coverage report. This will have the list of everyone who is in the yearbook or whose name has been placed in the yearbook. From here, you can uh, fix any spellings. Like right here, this say Emily is not with EI, it's actually with a Y. From here, I can fix that, and then once I click off of it, it is actually fixed on the actual image. I don't have to hunt for the image. I don't have to try to figure out which classroom Emily is in and look for her image there. And here you can say that, like, Alexandria just goes by Alex. Also in here, you could also sort either by last name, first name. By last name, this will help uh, with any duplicate. See, here we have Alan Erica and Alan Erica. We have two duplicates right here. This will help you figure out which names are duplicates. From here, we can actually go to merge these duplicates. So uh, here's this Alan. So all we have to do is we want to keep this one, and we want to merge this one. As soon as we're done with that, we can come down here. We can apply changes. Then you will notice that that Alan is gone because those names now merged. Also, the nice thing about this feature right here is over here in this block, you can see number of times in book. A lot of schools have a policy that they try to make sure that students are equally represented in the book as much as possible. And this will help you make sure you can see how many times a student is in the book. Now, for this feature to work, students' images will have to be tagged. We'll talk about the tagging of images, not just portraits, but uh, of candid images as well. So next we're going to come up and we're going to go back to our image library here. Now, once we get the list back, we may have a few students that are not supposed to be in this class or may be in a different class, and we need to get them moved over to those classes. Some of these may be duplicate images. So when we're looking over here, we have two images that are the same. We need to double check that, like this one is Madison, this is Mary. They're twins, they're in the same class. We can keep going, and then here we see Erica and Erica. We see two images of the same child. So for us, if we don't want to use this one, we can simply click on it. We can come over to tag name, or you can double click. Yeah, sorry, you can click on the blue button right there. It will bring up uh, this block right here, or you can come over here to tag names. It will bring this up as well. From here, we can go to details. Here you're going to see use photo. We don't want to use it, so we're going to say either we're going to say don't use photo. We're going to come out here and make sure we hit apply change, and then done. So here you will see this says don't use, and then now the system knows not to use that photo. So we keep going here. Here we'll see that the teacher may say that this student doesn't belong in this class. It actually belongs in a fourth grade class. So we can click and hold, and then we can drag this image over here and make sure we hover over. You can hover over the name or just where the name is. You'll see a blue line right there, and you'll see the word move right here next to the 35. So if we let go, the kid disappears from this class, and here's the kid right here. So we can keep going and we can say, well, this child right here is actually a second grader. So we can click and hold, drag over to the second grade, and just let go. Now here we see an image right here. Um, it could be this one is a makeup photo, or and this one is the photo that they don't want used. Same thing. We can click on the one they don't want to use, bring up that screen again, use portrait. We can come down and say we don't use portrait, apply change, and done. Next, we're going to talk about no photos. You may have a student in your class for whatever reason, whether legal reasons or protective reasons, cannot have their image in the yearbook. So in that case, if there is a student that cannot do that, we can come up here and we click this little blue button or the tag image, come up to details. Then under the portrait, you will see a use no photo. So we're going to click this and apply change and then done. This will tell the system to use a default no photo or no image available. And we'll show you what that looks like a little later on in the webinar. Now, if you have a student that is not here or missed the photos, but you need to make sure that their name is at least in the book, we can come down here to a folder. Most of you should have this folder called No Photo. Here you will have a variety of no photos. You can select any one of them. One important thing about the no photos, if you click here and you go here to change a name, so let's say we're going to change this first to a last, and we hit save and then done. Now, if you'll look, it says name last on every single one of these. So unless you want that student's name on every single one of these, we're going to have to do something first. We're going to have to click on the one we want, come up to tag names. We're going to come down here to this remove. We're going to have to break the tag. So we're going to come up here, we're going to break this tag, and then we're going to come up here to add. We're going to click add, then we're going to name this. And then the first name, last name is the only one you have to put. You can't put a middle name, a grade, and all that, but the system requires a first name and last name. We're going to come up here to hit save, and then done. Now you'll see that it's not here, it's actually moved, or it may have, you may think it disappeared. It didn't. It just moved down here to the bottom because remember, it's alphabetical order. So all we have to do is drag this image here all the way up to the class that we're working on right now. Let go. And there we go. We have a no photo available for this student. And the difference between this one and this one is the system will generate a default no image available for this one. This one is if you absolutely have no image for the student and you need to put something in there so the student at least has the name. Here you can also fix names if you need to as well. So if you need to click on this one, you can also click on tag names, come up here, click on edit. Since there's nobody else with this name, you can actually edit this way and just say, let's say there's no S at the end of fields, and then just hit save and then hit done. And that only affects this one. The only time you would break a tag is if something like your no photos right here, because changing it the way that we just changed Julia would affect all the no photos right here. So next, we're going to go to flowing images. So we're going to come up to our plan. We're going to come up to our page ladder. Okay. So from here, we're going to talk about a little about some of the designs or some of the portraits that we have available for you through our templates and things that you can use instead of making your own if you want to use one of our preset templates. So here you can go to design and click this little down arrow and you can come up to portrait right here. Now here we have, you can search all of our portraits right here, or if you want to search by a certain size, that's what these picas are. So if you want a certain size, here are all the 6x8s. If you want to search by number of photos, for that one we had a little over 40. So here's 41 to 50 photos. And so here are some of the templates that are already ready to go. So if you find one that you want, you can click and hold. It will ask you if you want to retain any content. And so then those are right there. And by what it means by that, we'll go ahead and talk about that here real quick. So we're going to choose an image. So here we go with the background. So we have content on our page. So we click and hold this one and bring it over. If we say no, you'll notice that background disappears. We'll talk about this more in our next webinar, but I just want to clear this up. That way there's no questions about it later on. So if we said yes, the background stays on. So here we go uh, with the template right here. It already has the flow element. That's this right here. And you can tell it's a flow element because it has a little portrait of a person. If you see a block like this and several of them, kind of like these, This is an image frame. This is meant for your candids or your group photos. Um, Much like this one right here. That's for your candids or your group images right here. That's not that's not something you can flow into. These on this page, on page 2, these you can flow into. So we're going to go down here to flow. All right. And then right here on flow, you also have different different flow elements. So your name's on top or bottom, left side, right side, um, your name horizontal on the left or the right. Here you can drag these over and place those on the page if you want, if you need more. So to flow a class in, we're going to go over to our category here, and we're going to select the class that we were in. Here is your name format, your first name. So here you can go first, middle, or you can go first name, last name. Next, will tell us the number of images that we currently have here in our folder. Number of flowed, 0, because we haven't flown any. Number of remaining. It's always a good idea to take a look at this because we've had some books come through that it had 40 kids, but only 39 flowed, and there was one missing because either it wasn't set up right or um, not enough boxes were set up or something. There was an error, and so there was a kid that didn't get onto the page. So always double check after you flow to see if there's any remaining. The start and stop is the page we're going to start on. In this case is 2. The page we are going to stop on, 2. If you're a class that has like multiple, like if you have the whole 7th grade and you have, 45 or 50 or 100 7th graders, and you're flowing them to multiple pages, then you can just set the stop to like page 5 if you have to, or whatever the ending page is. Here it's going to say that we have 0 available positions. You may be asking yourself, well, I have flow element on the page. Why are you telling me that I have 0 available positions? We have to do something very important first. We have to come up here and save it. If we don't save our work, the system doesn't know that we made any changes. So we're going to come up here and we're going to save. After saving, you'll see 0 available positions now is turned into 45 available positions. Because we have saved it, the system knows that there's something on the page to flow to. Now we can flow. So we're going to come down here and you're going to see this teal button called flow. We're going to click on it. And then we see that everything is flowed. Here, you will see that our no photo is right here. You will also see that here you will see a no photo available. Here's our student that couldn't have an image in the yearbook. And so the system has just put a default no photo available. Now here you're going to see 2 red X's, and you're probably asking, well, how do I take care of this? Or what is this? The red X right here just simply means that the names or the text is larger than the box that's available. Um, so what we're going to do to fix this, all we have to do is click on this, hit reset, come back here, and here we're going to talk about the toolbar that pops up right above the flow element. Here you will see there's a font size, and you can lower that font. It's right here. You will see it's even numbers, but you can lower this to an odd number by simply clicking into the box, hitting delete and then hitting 7. Then you can hit enter or just simply click off and it's a 7 now. Here you can see color, and on the next page we're going to talk more about the importance of changing the text color. Here you can see a stroke style, so you can actually add a border to the side of it. You can increase the border size. Um, you can put a greater border around it. It is advisable to be careful how big this of a border you put on pictures, especially if they're images this small. You can also bold, italic, underline your names, and then here is the right here is the flow options. From here, we'll talk more about flow options in the next page. Then once you've made all those changes, especially to the font size, you can always come back and flow. That's going to ask you if you want to save again. Yes, we want to save. It's very important that whatever changes you make on the page, you have to save first before you flow. And so now you'll see that those red X's have gone away because we just simply took the text and we just dropped it down by 1. So here we're on a page and we have a background that's a purple background, but it's a darker background. And we have a flow element already on the page. And this flow element is for a kindergarten class right here. Only has 9 people, but we don't need this big of a flow element just for 9 images. So we're going to come up here. We're going to come up to flow options. That's this middle button. It's tiny little dots with a down arrow right here. Very first thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that automatic is not checked. The reason for that is if we reduce the number of rows, you see what happening to the boxes. They're stretching because they're automatically adjusting to the size of the page. So to fix that, we're going to come over here. We're going to uncheck automatic. That way, as we decrease the rows, you can see that rows are disappearing. Everything else is staying the same. Also, if you ever click on something and it's not adding, and you're getting that little message right here at the bottom, simply telling you that this flow element will not leave the outside of this blue box that's all the way around the page. So again, we only need 9. So we can reduce this down to just 2 rows. We can come down to, and real tip here, real quick tip. If you hit this little thumbtack right here, it will release it so you can move this flow element to the side. So if we need to reduce this by 3, that way we can have 4 and 4. Now let's go ahead and add one more. From here, you'll see the portrait dimensions. So we can actually make those bigger and make the box a little taller. Here you'll see the spacing. So we can actually decrease the spacing a little bit. We can actually come up, maybe change that to a 2. The vertical, we can actually spread those out just a little bit. If we want to do a little bit smaller spacing between them, we can come in here and we can change that to a 0p5. Name width, that is the width of the name right here. So if you have a long name, you may want to keep that right there. But if you don't, you can always change that and bring that back down a little bit and actually change the width a little bit if you can. Or you can maybe change the spacing a little bit. Here you have portrait shapes. So you can keep them as rectangles, circles, hexagons, triangles. Most just to keep them with the rectangles. And with the rectangles, you can round off the corners. So you can see that you can round off the corners there if you want, just a little bit. Now, if you need this on the other side here, you can click on it, you come over here to the side and you can duplicate it. And if you want the names on the right side instead of the left side, under name positions, you can go names on left, horizontal to names on right, horizontal, and you'll see that the names have flipped. And we can move that over here. Now you'll notice that the names are in black and here we go. The names are in black and then on a dark background. The contrast, that's going to be kind of hard to see. So with the flow element clicked, we can come up here to the color, put a drop fill, then we'll see that the A right here is selected. That's your text fill. We can come down here to any color we want. Maybe we want white, that way it can really show up. And here you can change the text size just a little bit. We could also make them bold if we wanted to. You can also change the font. Then once we are done, we can go back to fit the page, come over here, make sure we are on the correct start. We want to start on page 4. We want to stop the flow on page 4. There we go. Make sure we hit save. And so there we go. We have those images already flowed. And for any reason, um, so some of the tips right here, for any reason that you need to adjust an image, maybe a student is sitting slightly off to one side and you kind of want to bring them into the middle of the frame, you can double click. And here you will see an crop icon right here in the upper corner. So we can click that one and it isolates just this image right here. Here we can bring this photo over just a little bit, click off of it again, and you'll see that this child is centered. If it's a situation, and we've also seen this, we're going to, so if it's a situation where you have a student who's, uh, these aren't very good photos for this one, but this also helps if you have students whose photo might be a little larger than the box, and so maybe the tops of their heads are not showing, and you can lower that down. Or if you want to make sure all the kids are the correct height, you can actually come up to this ruler right here, drag down a bar, and we'll use this kid on the end as the measuring. So from there, you can always come down and bring down the image just a little bit, maybe bring this student up just a touch, and then that way all the students are kind of the same level. That way you don't have that uh, students that are some are taller than the others or whatever. So all right. And so if we have a student, in this one, if we have a student that has come into this class late in the season and you've already got this class flowed and everything, you could put their image in there to add this student. All we have to do is hit reset. And one thing about these boxes is that this one right here, this blank one, isn't gone. It's not deleted. It's actually just hidden. It's actually just turned off. So all we have to do is reset the flow, double click on here, and here you're going to see the little eye in the upper right hand corner. And we'll zoom in. So here you see an eye in the upper right hand corner. If we click it, it turns off, and then I can turn it back on. So if I have a student, all I have to do is come over here and turn this one back on, and now I have the position just for that student. And another quick one, if you ever flow a class in and for some reason you're unable to reset it, you can always come back to history, go to a time when before they were flowed, click and hold, drag that over, and then it just resets the flow for you. Once in a while this happens, but there's a trick into to get that flow back, and you can always go back and flow 'em. At this time, I will open it up to any questions. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and type them in chat, or you go ahead, take yourself off of mute, and ask them. Where's the reset button on the flow page? It is actually right next to the flow button. Um, no, well, no, wrong one. It's actually right here. So you have the flow button, and then you have the reset button right next to it. It will look grayed out, but it's not. It's just a gray button. Okay, how to duplicate a teacher photo. We have a class that had a teacher, had two teachers. Okay, so for something like that, you can come up to create in the image library. And so if you need to, so say this teacher right here was the teacher you're looking for and all that, all you do is click on it, download the teacher, go to the class, click upload, drag and drop that image here, and it will upload. And then all you have to do is click on the teacher, hit tag name. If they're not already tagged, just hit add, type that teacher's name in, hit save, and then done. And then there's your teacher. If you have, some of you might already have like a staff copy. If you already have a staff copy of it, all you have to do is drag and drop the teacher in there, and then you will see that the teacher is right there. All right. Is there any other questions? All right. I want to thank you for joining us this afternoon. The demonstration of the functions related to the creation of portrait pages should eliminate some of the trial and error that occur when working with a yearbook. Printing portrait sheets and editing class data ahead of time should result in better accuracy on some of the most important pages of a yearbook. Feel free to join us next time as we look at creation of activities and candid pages. I want to thank you all for being here and also remind you that this recording will be sent out to everyone um, once the webinar is over. If you have any further questions, feel free to call or email. Also, we have a YouTube channel in which you can watch other videos, other webinars, and tech tips as well. Thank you again for joining us.